Good morning. Barry Bryson here, thanking you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. And we are continuing our study of Mark's Gospel. We're in Mark chapter 11, and we're going to pick up with verse 20 this morning. Thank you for joining me. As you notice, we're in the Family Bible Class Studios. We're having some camera issues, so I'm using the camera in here instead of the camera in my claustrophobic and overstuffed office. So hopefully the glare off of my head will not be off-putting, and you'll stick with me for the next 5 or 6 minutes as we talk about these verses from Mark's Gospel. Jesus has made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. He's taken over the town. This is a town of maybe 100, 120,000 that would swell to 3 times, maybe more, its population during Passover time. It was a very tense time for Jewish leaders. It was a time of activism and foment among Hebrew radicals who were trying to throw off Roman rule. And it was a very tough time for the Romans as well, because they were so outnumbered in the city during this time. Jesus has already cleansed the temple, which was a very provocative act politically, culturally, religiously, and then he went back home. And he's coming back to the temple, and on this day, on his way back, he sees the fig tree that he has cursed earlier. We mentioned this just a few days ago, a few sessions ago. He cursed the fig tree. The fig tree was in leaf, but it was not the time for figs, something that the text makes very clear. It was not the time for figs, and he cursed it. So now they're walking back by the same tree on their way back into Jerusalem from Bethany, and this is what happens. As they were passing by in the morning, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots up. Being reminded, Peter said to him, "Rabbi, behold, the fig tree which you cursed has withered." Jesus answered and said to them, "Have faith in God. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says is going to happen, it shall be granted him. Therefore I say to you, all things for which you pray and ask, believe that you have received them, and they shall be granted you. And whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive your transgression." Okay. We're going to stop there. Next time we're together, he'll enter the city of Jerusalem. But we're going to stop right there. Over the years when I've taught this passage, I've spent most of my time dealing with people being worried about that tree, which was treated unfairly because it's a living thing. Now, God cares because God created everything. If you don't think God cares for the created world, read the book of Genesis. Read the last line of the book of Jonah. This is an object lesson. And to talk about the fairness of expecting fruit when it's not the season for fruit, we miss the point altogether. And if you feel like Jesus treated that tree fairly, then when we're in heaven with him one day, you can ask him about that. But I don't have any answer for that. The point he's making is believe. Don't doubt. He's giving them a demonstration of his power that's necessary because soon he's going to be crucified, within days. And without the demonstrations of power, he'll seem like a victim. And they don't know how to process it anyway, even when it does happen. They're so confused. Even though he's told them clearly, and Peter makes this clear perhaps in Mark's Gospel, that he's saying, this is exactly what's going to happen. I know ahead of time. This is the plan. So don't be surprised when it happens. And yet they are. And they're afraid, and they flee, and they deny him, and they don't show up at the cross. Well, except for one of them. And they just are a mess. The men disciples anyway. And so he needs to demonstrate this is part of God's plan. It reminds me of in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, when the children see Aslan humiliated and sacrificed, by the evil minions, and how awful that was for them. And they don't realize, they don't expect that he'll come back. And of course, that's quite openly, a Christian story. And he's demonstrating his power so that they will believe not just in him, but have confidence in themselves as servants of God. And as they go forward as missionaries, to have confidence in themselves as servants of God. And let's not forget to listen to the last thing he says about prayer. Prayer is not about the exercise of power. Prayer is about confidence in God to accomplish what he's promised, and it's about grace and forgiveness. And everything that he says here is nullified if we are not prepared to forgive each other and to give each other grace. If you have anything against anyone, this is a legitimate grievances, legitimate hurts for your own sake. And because God has forgiven you, forgive them. That's what Jesus is saying. Okay, we're going to pick up with verse 27 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.